Wade was laid to rest after his mother reported him missing earlier this year. It took police months to let the family know what happened to Wade. Wade was struck and killed by an off-duty JPD officer in a patrol car. It happened in early March as Wade was walking near I-55 at McDowell Road. People who know the family are skeptical about the police explanation.
They wait all this time before they decide they want to, do something about it, bring all this to a conclusion. How could you bury somebody without getting attention to letting some of the family know somebody know about it?
For the past 7 months, a mother in Jackson, Mississippi has been desperately searching and wondering where her son, 37-year-old Dexter Wade, disappeared to. It was March 5, 2023, and Dexter was at home at his mother's house, Bernstein Wade, and it was allegedly said that they got into a dispute. Dexter would leave the house that night and never be seen again, alive. It wasn't until 172 agonizing days after his disappearance that Bernstein learned the truth. Dexter had been unalive less than an hour after leaving her home, hit by a Jacksonville police car as he crossed a nearby interstate highway. So how could Dexter be missing for 7 months if the police knew that they unalived him? This story will take you down a road of lies, cover-ups, and possible intentional unaliving. According to Dexter Wade's mother, he was a dreamer when he was young. Growing up in Jackson, Dexter was said to be a sweet little boy, sharp with computers, a leader among classmates, a lover of nice clothes, and dreamed of running his own business, refurbishing cars one day. That all went left in his teens when he got lost under the influence of older men who stole cars and did drugs. Bernstein said, as a single mother of 3 who worked at night, she said she always wasn't around Dexter, but she always bailed him out of jail and he always returned home. Things didn't pan out how Dexter dreamed as a child, but he did go on to have 2 daughters who remained a bright spot for him in his life. Dexter would end up serving 2 stints in prison, one for attempted auto theft and the other for armed robbery, according to the Mississippi Department of Correction, and he would be released in 2017. But prison had clearly damaged him. According to his daughter's mother, you could look into his eyes and see he wasn't the same person until he was struggling mentally. Dexter would be diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia, according to his mother. After starting medication, he decreased his illegal drug intake and stayed at home most of the day, cleaning, taking care of the yard. He liked to give homemade ice pops to the kids on the street and handed food to people who didn't have homes, and occasionally sold soda and chips in the neighborhood. He rarely left the house for more than a day or 2 without calling, Bernstein would say. He never showed signs of wanting to hurt himself, and he didn't seem like he was in a bad place, according to his mother. Days passed without a word from Dexter, and on March 14, Bernstein called the Jackson Police Department to report him missing. Mind you, her son had been deceased 9 days at this point by the hands of the police, and her decision to call the police was difficult to make. Bernstein did not trust the police because in 2019, her 62-year-old brother died after a Jackson police officer slammed him to the ground. The officer was convicted of manslaughter, but is appealing his case right now. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit accusing Jackson police officers of excessive force in attempting to cover up their actions, and accused the city of failing to properly train and supervise the officers. The city had denied the claim and said it isn't liable for what happened. The officers' lawyer said they acted responsible and lawful. A federal judge dismissed some of Bernstein's claims. Others remained pending, according to state court records. The crazy thing is, Bernstein said her mother advised her not to call the police about Dexter because she felt they were not going to do anything. However, she felt she needed to do something to find her son. An investigator would come to Bernstein's house and take her statement, and she emailed the investigators a picture of Dexter as well. He left a card with a case number on it, and 2 days later, she emailed a different investigator another photo of her son. The original investigator filed an incident report that misspelled Dexter's name as Dexter. But Was this a mistake, or was it purposeful to hide a secret that Jackson police was keeping? Bernstein said she kept in regular touch with police, asking for updates and requesting that they put his picture on TV. She did her own search, checking out abandoned homes and driving around her neighborhood, asking if anyone had seen him. Dexter supposedly left home with a friend that March 5th night, but Bernstein was never able to find that friend. At this point, Dexter's whole family was in distress, and his teen daughters were constantly asking, "Did you hear from my dad?" Each time Bernstein called, police told her they had no information on Dexter. It turned out, though, that the Jackson Police Department had the answers all along. Police had known Dexter's name and hers, but failed to contact her, instead letting his body go unclaimed for months in the county morgue. By early October, Bernstein would be finally told where she could go find her son. Beyond the gates of Hinds County Penal Farm Cemetery, a place where unclaimed remains are laid to rest, generally for inmates in jail. Bernstein and her sister would be led by a sheriff's deputy and 2 jumpsuit inmates in a pickup to this unknown location, where rows of small markers extended from the ground, each marker with a number. Once they exited the car and walked up to the grave, which was numbered 672, and there, buried 6 feet under, Bernstein finally found her son. She would tell her sister, "Girl, look at this. Would you believe they would bury someone out here?" She then bent over, hands on her knees, and cried out, "I am so sorry, baby. I am so sorry. This all is just unbelievable, and I personally feel that there was some kind of foul play involved." The police department would not respond to details regarding questions and has not commented or explained how it handled Dexter's unaliving. Very suspect in my opinion. After the news article was published, a spokesperson for Jackson Mayor's office sent an email statement to NBC offering up prayers and condolences to the family. The spokesperson added in an interview that police did not intentionally harm Dexter and there was miscommunication, but there was no malice intent anywhere in this whole situation. This account has been pieced together with interviews with Dexter's family and a coroner's investigator, along with court records, documents that were provided in response to the public records request. Also a crash report, incident report, and coroner's office records. Bernstein also will share her personal notes, emails, Dexter's death certificate, a coroner's report, and case information cards provided by her from the police. All that information shows that just before 8 p.m. on March 5th, Dexter was walking across Interstate 55, a 6-lane highway, when a Jackson police SUV driven by an off-duty corporal struck him in the southbound lane. The corporal, who alerted police to the collision, was not injured. He was not suspected of being under the influence of drugs or alcohol and was not given a field sobriety test. What in the HE double hockey stick? This should have been one of the first things they did to test him. I do not care that he was an officer, because if that was a regular civilian and they unalive someone with a motor vehicle, they would be tested for drugs and alcohol. The officer was not cited for any traffic violations. The death was just ruled accidental. Now, if that doesn't scream suspicious, I don't know what does. An investigator from the Hinds County Coroner's Office will respond to the scene. He did not find identification on Dexter while examining him, but he found a bottle of prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it. And anyone who has gotten a prescription before, we all know that it has your address on it as well as other information. It would be determined that Dexter suffered severe injuries, including to his head. A toxicology report later noted that Dexter had PCP and methamphetamines in his system. This is the worst part yet, though. Just 3 days later, on March 8th, the investigator, LaGrande Elliott, contacted the doctor at the medical office that had provided the prescription and received Bernstein's name as Dexter's next of kin, according to Elliott's case notes. Elliott then said he called the number listed for Bernstein and that the doctor's office had on record and left a voicemail on it but got no response. Bernstein did confirm that was her number, but she did say she did not remember receiving any call or message and was not able to access her mobile phone records to check if it even happened. To her defense, though, I would think that they would have called her more than once, and if nothing, in like 1 or 2 days, go to her house. Because believe me, police have a way to find anyone they really want to find in this type of situation. It gets more messed up from that point because Elliot was able to confirm Dexter's identification on March 9th, when the state crime lab said his fingerprints matched those it had on file for him, according to his notes. Elliot then said in an interview that he passed on the phone number and an address to the Jackson Police Department Accident Investigation Squad so they could notify Bernstein of the death of her son. Per Elliot, once we get the information, I turn it over to the police because it's their jurisdiction so that they can do the proper death notification. So the police knew for sure who he was after 5 days. 5 days, and Bernstein heard nothing. Meanwhile, during this time, Bernstein turned to Facebook where she would post pictures of Dexter with her phone number, pleading for him or anyone who saw him to call. By March 15th, the day after Bernstein reported Dexter missing, Elliot followed up with the Jackson police for updates. No kin has been located as of yet, he would write in his notes. Elliot then said he made another follow-up call on March 30th to the Jackson police and was told there was nothing new. The following day, the coroner's office asked the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for approval to bury Dexter's remains at the Hinds County Penal Farm. As that request was being filed, Bernstein posted another photo of Dexter on Facebook. Has anyone seen my son? Please, please call his mother. Unaware of her son's death, Bernstein pled for help on Facebook. The Board of Supervisors approved the coroner's burial request on April 3rd. 4 days later, Elliot called Jackson police again. No new updates, he wrote in his notes. And on May 7th, Bernstein posted on Facebook, Dexter, if you are out there, your kids miss you and your family misses you. We love you. We always will love you. 2 days after that, Elliot called the police again for an update and was told there was none, according to his notes. He tried one last time in June and got the same response. June 18th was Father's Day, and on Facebook, Bernstein pleaded with Dexter directly. I am trying to find you, but no one knows what happened to you. I wish someone would have seen you. I love you very much. Please come home. And on July 14th, with no one claiming Dexter's body, the county buried him in that field at the penal farm among other unclaimed bodies. Bernstein was still searching at this point. Dexter, your kids miss you, I miss you, and your grandma, sister, aunt, cousins, and friends miss you, she would write on Facebook on July 16th. You don't have to come home, just let us know you're all right. We love you. Sorry, this is screaming negligence, big time. I do believe the city was mad at her for the lawsuit of her brother and either did this to Dexter on purpose or it was a freak accident, and when the police found out who his family was, decided to be scandalous as payback. Dexter would be buried come July 14th among other unclaimed bodies. Through the rest of July, Bernstein said she called missing persons investigators and got no news. The lead investigator told her he was retiring at the end of the month and a new investigator would call her. She would receive a call on August 13th from the new investigator. Less than 2 weeks later, on August 24th, the new investigator called to tell her she had found Dexter and that an officer would come to see her in person. Bernstein knew then something was wrong. The officer, a member of the Accident Investigation Unit, met Bernstein at her mother's house and told her that Dexter had been hit by a police cruiser while trying to cross the highway and was unalive. She began weeping and asking for more details. Before they left, Bernstein was told to contact the coroner's office. Bernstein called and found Elliot, and he told her that he knows Dexter's name since the day he died and had passed the information to the police. What a shame. That is just horrible. This is when she learned of where he was at. Bernstein couldn't understand why police told her for months they didn't have answers when they had the truth from the start. Bernstein said, they had me looking for him all that time, and they knew who he was. This is when she began to wonder if it had anything to do with her brother's death, like I was saying before, and her allegations against the police in that case, and maybe if this was a vendetta, because it surely seems like it. But maybe they buried my son to get back at me, she said. She is for sure thinking what I was thinking. It's all a fishy situation. Dexter's mother would then go to the place he died off the highway to try and better understand what he was doing on the highway, but walking the area, which is lined with concrete barriers, did not clear anything up for her. Bernstein also began to doubt the officer's timeline. She didn't see how Dexter could have made it from her house to the scene of the accident in less than half an hour on foot. So many questions are unanswered. Bernstein is now trying to plan the next steps in her ordeal, finding the money to get her son in a proper grave, a place where he will not be just a number, but he will be Dexter Alex Wade, a son, a father, a brother, and much more to those who loved him. I will link that GoFundMe that his mother set up if you would like to help. My deepest condolences to this mother, to his children, and all involved, and may the truth come to light. Please let me know if you feel this was foul play, and comment what you think, and pray for this family because this is definitely a difficult time. Don't forget to hit that like button to share, to make your people aware, and as always, remember, stay woke. Things change quickly.